Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bill C-50 is another effort by this Liberal government to simply pull the wool over Canadians' eyes. Bill C-50 brings nothing on the table at all on political financing that was not already laid out. The Liberals like to use the word transparency. In fact, it is included in almost everything they produce, including the famous mandate letters. So let's look at the meaning of the word transparency in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, shall we? Number one, the quality of being transparent, such as A, the quality that makes it possible to see through something, the transparency of a piece of glass, for an example. B, the quality that makes something obvious or easy to understand, the transparency of their motive. He says there needs to be more transparency in the way the government operates. Whoever he is, I agree. But then let's go to C. And C says a piece of thin, clear plastic with pictures or words printed on it can be viewed on a large screen by shining a light through it. So, while the rest of Canada has been interpreting the word transparent as clear and easy to understand, the Liberals have been putting their own words on transparency, that you will need to shine a light on just to see them. So let's, in fact, get the light out and shine it on them. Let me first, in my own effort to be transparent, say at the outset that I have relied heavily on the remarks of my colleague, the member for Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston, that were made in this place on June 8th of last year on Bill C-50. It's hard to improve on his remarks, Mr. Speaker, but I think they're worth repeating here tonight. For instance, he noted that on November 7th of 2016, BC multimillionaire Mile Fay Pan hosted a fundraiser right at his West Vancouver mansion. And he made the case to the Prime Minister at this event that he had to pay to get into it, and he also noted that he had to host just to allow a Chinese investment in a seniors' care and real estate development and ease rules for rich immigrants from China. So what a better way to get preferential access than to have it right in your own house. This took place as the federal government had been reviewing a billion-dollar bid by China's Ongbong Insurance Group to buy one of BC's largest retirement home nursing care chains. Right. According to an article that was published in the Globe and Mail December 2nd of last year, actually it was in 2016, the Liberal Party has repeatedly told the Globe and Mail individuals wishing to discuss government business at party events are immediately redirected to instead make an appointment with the appropriate office. Well, the host of this fundraiser, Mr. Pan, told the Globe and Mail in an interview that the Prime Minister was approachable and friendly when he raised these issues, including Chinese companies' keen interest to invest in Canadian health care for seniors. Mr. Speaker, this is a long, convoluted story, which is readily available on the internet, but the end result, as reported again in the Globe and Mail of February 21st, 2017, that the Liberal government has green-lighted the sale of one of BC's biggest retirement home chains to a Beijing-based insurance titan with a murky ownership structure in a deal that gives China certainly a big foothold in Canada's healthcare sector. Right. On paper, a majority stake in Vancouver's based retirement concepts, believed to exceed over $1 billion in value, is being sold to a Chinese-owned company called Cedar Tree Investment Canada. That is the deal that federal officials in Ottawa announced that they had improved. However, as we all know, Cedar Tree is the company that China's Ongbong Insurance is currently using to make the acquisition. So shining a light on it becomes that much clearer. No business person is going to pay $1,500 plus in a return for a glass of wine and a piece of cheese, only to be redirected to make an appointment with the appropriate office. They could do this without forking over $1,500 plus and achieve the same result. The goal, though, of Bill C-50 is to legitimize pay-to-play or cash-for-access events. The Liberals have a majority of government in this House, and the bill will pass, but it passed the smell test with Canadian taxpayers. They can say it was the expressed will of Parliament that this practice be continued, but let me assure you, Mr. Speaker, it is not the expressed will of this Conservative members of Parliament here. It is only the will of the Liberal Party because they are the only ones that have the Prime Minister and Cabinet in power. So stay tuned for the Liberal outcry when this changes and they can no longer benefit from this smoke and mirrors bill. Over 100 of these in the last year, cash for access in the country. These soirees, though, are not limited to traditionally fundraising either. For an example, Chinese billionaires have been attending Liberal fundraisers even though they're not allowed to donate because they're not Canadian citizens. One of these individuals, by the name of Zhang Bing, is a member of the Communist Party. He attended a May 19, 2016 fundraiser at a Toronto home of a Chinese Business Chamber of Canada chairperson, Benson Waugh. This was according to, again, the Globe and Mail. A few weeks later, as we've noted on this discussion throughout the day in the House, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Zhang and a business partner donated $200,000 to the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation and $50,000 to build a statue of the current Prime Minister's father. A pretty good meeting he had. I am sure these donations were made out of the goodness of their hearts, and a thank you for the glass of wine and, yes, the piece of cheese. There's another example that was pointed out by my colleague from Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston, of pay-to-play. The finance minister was scheduled to attend a fundraiser at a cost of $1,500 to get into the door in Calgary on November the 2nd, and that was the home of Shaw Communication President Jay Mayer. The telecom firm has directly lobbied the finance department 8 times. Is there a conflict here, do you think, Mr. Speaker? It appears that making an appointment with the appropriate office was not working, so would be hosting a Liberal fundraiser proved to be more profitable for the telecom firm. As they say in the movies, stay tuned. Mr. Speaker, let me echo this sentiment, and the system that is designed to give the incumbent party an ongoing, perpetual systemic advantage is inherently morally wrong. That is, leaving aside the fact that giving preferential access to cabinet ministers when the average Canadian doesn't get the chance is absolutely contemptible. Mr. Speaker, in closing, I would like to say that Canadians deserve better than a Prime Minister who believes that there is one set of rules for him and another set of rules for everyone else. We all deserve to live with the confidence that we do not have to shine a light on every word uttered in government of the day to get the true meaning of their remarks. We all deserve better than this current government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. L'honorable député de Beauport-Limoilou.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague, I thank him for his great speech. At the end, he said, you know, that this new system that they are bringing forward with this bill will bring forever until we come back and delete this bill. But until we win the next election, it will make so that the governing party has a systematic preference for raising money and then hence making them more strong for the next election. But I wanted to ask the member, don't you think also that it's more than just a privilege and giving them more strength, but it's also close to corruption? I would ask the member, does he think that's almost close to real corruption? Thank you, sir.
The honourable member for Saskatoon-Grasswood.
Mr. Speaker, I talked about that in my speech, the access because of $1,500, not only giving $1,500, but hosting a Liberal event right in their home. So, you know, by writing a check for 15 and mailing it in is a lot different than hosting right in your house. And when you're in your house, we've seen these allegations in the last 18 months of the Liberal Party going, whether it's in Calgary or in Toronto or in British Columbia. Yes, this does not pass the smell test. Canadians know better than this, and they're upset with this legislation, no question.